Welcome to The Forecast by Alex Ahom, connecting with people one story at a time. In this series, I'll be reviewing the news the people in my network, are talking about. As a business founder, D&I consultant, and community builder, I know great content inspires. I'll react to today's story just after Jazz, the AI, has shared it. We have so much to cover, so please like, follow, share, and let's get started on today's episode.
Celebrating Black History Month in corporate America is hard, level. Today is the first day of February, and I'm officially stressed out. Sure, I'm happy to have escaped the most bizarre January of my lifetime, with only the mild shellshock of a militia-fueled insurrection and the inauguration of this nation's first black vice president occurring just weeks apart. But I've got a love-loathe relationship with the second month of the year. Black History Month can be beautiful, but for black employees in corporate America, it can also be awkward as hell. In the aftermath of 2020, a year in which the phrase performative activism was cemented in the cultural lexicon, I'm wary of the half-hearted, shallow shit that's in store for Black History Month. I can see these corporations now, launching campaigns that appear to center black people but ultimately are just blatant PR plays. Or initiatives that fixate more on black trauma than triumph. There's a whole breadth of experiences to honor, but when these projects look at blackness as a monolith, it does a serious disservice to the culture. My personal awkwardness as it relates to Black History Month dates back to my public school days as the only black kid in the classroom. Teachers would put together cursory lesson plans that validated black icons based on their relationships to white oppression. Seriously, from Harriet Tubman to Jackie Robinson to Martin Luther King Jr., you could play bingo with these go-to figures. Either that, or they'd wheel that big-ass TV cart into the room and play, like, Glory or Roots or some shit. Don't get me wrong, both are classic pieces of cinema, but these lesson plans rarely ever highlighted the beauty of the black experience, opting to fixate on the struggle. I could sense from my classmates and professors an expectation to be more vocal, more present with regard to these lessons that felt tailored for me in the most uncomfortable way possible. Instead, I just wanted to shrink in my seat until the month of March. Surprisingly, that feeling returned while working at one of my previous gigs. Mike, my lone black coworker at the time, was gung-ho about repping for BHM. He came up with a pitch to post daily fun facts about black history on the company's primary Slack channel, covering everything from art to notable inventors to politics. The response from my coworkers was bare minimum enthusiasm, nothing but some thumbs-up emoji responses when he presented it. I was intrigued, but skeptical. On one hand, I figured this could add some flavor to our dry-ass Slack communication and maybe even present an outlet for a reserved voice like mine to join in, taking up space while helping to provide some light-lift edutainment. On the other hand, it had the potential to be an adult extension of those baseline curriculums in junior high. Thinking back on it now, I wonder why the HR department didn't lead that effort from the jump. I guess the answer was white in front of my face. What happened was somehow worse than even that. While the month started off strong with nods to folks like Marcus Garvey and Garrett Morris, Mike's posting got sporadic, sometimes dropping early in the morning and other times well after close of business. He missed a few days entirely. Then, suddenly, right before Valentine's Day, the Slack posts just stopped. I reached out, ready to offer my support and help with researching these tidbits. Instantly, an auto-response hit my inbox. Turned out that dude had left the company for new, perhaps blacker, pastures. The odd series of events left me once again feeling the heat of an unwanted spotlight, even if it were entirely imagined. Did my coworkers expect me to grab the baton like legendary black sprinter Wilma Rudolph, who in 1960 became the first American woman to win 3 gold medals in a single Olympics? See. I was ready. Probably not. I mean, it's not like anyone was messaging me to say, hey, we're missing those black facts. The initiative became just another footnote in the same history it sought to highlight. Thinking back on it now, I wonder why the HR department didn't lead that effort from the jump. I guess the answer was white in front of my face. Efforts for a company to commemorate Black History Month internally don't have to be cringeworthy. Just follow a few ground rules, be sincere, do your research, don't half-ass it, don't obsess over black trauma, and for Christ's sakes, if black people make up the workforce minority, don't put the onus on one of them to do all of the extra work. If you make that the framework, I'd be all for celebrating this legacy of ethnic greatness. Black history is American history, that's something worth acknowledging. Just don't make it weird.
Hi there, and welcome back. Just before I dive in, sorry if any of the profanity in the reading offended you. Now let's talk about why I think Black History Month can be destructive. This topic is evergreen, and not just for this year, but coming off the back of all the global politics and the Black Lives Matter actions, Black History Month this year is a bit of a funny time. So where do I start? Put this part in bold. Black history is human history and global history. Is there a white history? No, it's just history, right? Is there an Asian history day or week? Would that be a good idea? Let me know. Let me know about anything you think on this topic. So what happens during Black History Month? A lot of talk about Martin Luther King, Garvey, Bob Marley, Harriet Tubman, blah, 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 blah. What about everyone else? I got a pen and a paper and I put down the most common mentioned names that I've seen in Black History Month this year. And what did I find? Most of them were Americans. Almost all of them lived, operated around the same time frame. What does that mean for the billions of Black people all around the world who aren't US focused, or who want to know more about the Black experience and want to look past, even though of course we respect, but know more about the Black experience than Rosa Parks? Is it only about the civil rights movement? Did Black people exist before slavery? What's been happening on that continent all this time? Too many schools just wheel out Roots on DVD. Maybe they'll talk about some of the inventions Black people have come up with, like the Super Soaker or the home security alarm. Is that all we are? So what about me? Well, I'm one of the lucky ones. I realize that now. I was raised by two very strong Black parents, a Jamaican mother and a Nigerian father. I got more than a comprehensive lesson about identity, culture, history, art, music, food, excellence. It was daily. Whether I liked it or not, I was encouraged to celebrate the Black experience with every breath. So again, what about me? Well, now I spread that love and knowledge with my friends, with my family, Black and white, every month. February, the shortest month of the year, isn't Black people's time to shine. Black people must shine all the time. So why don't they? They do. They do. Let's go back to school for a minute before I talk about the reading. The reason why we don't learn more about non-white events at school could be argued that the powers that be are imperialist, at some point supremacist or racist. The likelihood is that the powers that be are opportunistic and lazy. Why change the status quo, right? Why change the status quo? Well, here's my ask. What's your excuse? Do you have to be lazy? Take the opportunity to learn more and have these conversations. So in the reading, which was amazing, by the way, please listen to it if you didn't already. In the reading, a Black guy volunteers to send a few Black facts and stories every day on the company Slack during Black History Month. When he suggested it, people were really tapped in. Sorry, they weren't really tapped in. They weren't tapped in at all, but they agreed to it. You know, there were some head shakes, some thumbs up signs, but that's about it. A grand gesture reduced to a text message. Long story short, the guy who organized all of this left, and the trail went dead. He could have easily been sick or busy from work, that the text messages stopped and probably nobody recognized or even cared. So let me put my work hat on for a second. Officially recognizing, supporting entire communities at work cannot be left to one or two black people, typically the one or two black people that you have in your team or your office. HR and marketing need to take this seriously and create strategies of inclusion, but also put budget and headcount behind this. Black History and Black History Month is bigger than this. I've seen campaigns like Black History Month, Stop Asian Hate, World Female Day, Pride Month, etc. These aren't actions just to make people of those communities happy or to shut them up. So what I'm trying to say is, and what I am saying clearly, loud and clearly, is celebrate excellence and create sustainable solutions. Do that over highlighting trauma. Thanks for listening. This is Alex Ahom on The Forecast, and see you next time.
Damn.